I want you to imagine walking into a grocery store.
Okay.
You buy a gallon of milk, right? You bring it home. You shove it into this packed, completely disorganized fridge where you instantly lose sight of it.
That gets pushed all the way to the back.
Exactly. And then, because you can't see it, you drive right back to the store and you spend another $4,700 on the exact same gallon of milk.
I mean, that sounds completely insane.
It's totally insane. You would never do it in real life.
No, of course not.
But, and this is the crazy part, according to the data we are digging into today, that is exactly what Fortune 500 companies are doing with human talent. Like every single day.
Yeah, it really is.
They are spending millions of dollars trying to acquire something they already own simply because their internal infrastructure is completely incapable of showing them what is sitting right there on the shelf.
It's a profound misallocation of capital. And it is entirely driven by a failure of architecture. I mean, when you look at the benchmark data, and we are looking at a massive stack of it for this deep dive, the financial bleed is just staggering.
It really is.
You have companies paying job boards, right, paying them to source candidates who literally applied to their organization 9 months ago.
And that brings us to exactly why we're here. So welcome to episode 2 of our 6-part deep dive into the broken infrastructure behind modern hiring.
So glad to be back into this.
Me too. And if you were with us for the first exploration, you know exactly what we are doing here. We are bypassing all the standard sanitized HR talking points.
Yeah, no corporate fluff today.
Exactly. This series is dedicated to the real, unvarnished, totally data-driven conversations that talent acquisition leaders, TA leaders, are having behind closed doors.
When they finally admit that their systems are failing them.
Right. When they admit their legacy systems are actively sabotaging their hiring goals.
And today, we are dissecting a massive industry-wide transition. We're tracking the shift from volume-driven hiring,
The old way.
right, the archaic, just get me more resumes at the top of the funnel approach, and moving toward data-first, intelligence-driven hiring.
And to do that, we have pulled together an incredible stack of sources.
A lot of reading for this one.
So much reading. We are synthesizing technical white papers, benchmark reports that have analyzed over 165 million individual job applications.
Which is an insane sample size.
Right. It's massive. And we're also looking at highly technical deep dives into the AI matching logic from platforms like Pin, HarrowHunt, Eightfold, MetaView, and GEM.
Yeah, we're really getting under the hood today.
And our core mission for this conversation, our main goal, is to completely dismantle a myth that is plaguing modern recruiting.
The more candidates myth.
Yes, this pervasive, really stubborn idea that we just need more candidates.
Because the data tells a deeply counterintuitive story here.
It really does. It shows that companies are literally drowning in applicants. The pipelines have never been more saturated, and yet they cannot seem to actually execute hires.
The disconnect is fascinating, really, when you look at the daily operations of a TA team.
Walk us through that. Like, what does that look like on the ground?
Well, if you sit down with a hiring manager and ask why a critical engineering role has been sitting open for 90 days,
Yeah.
they will almost always point to a macroeconomic talent shortage.
Oh, totally. Nobody wants to work, or the talent just isn't out there.
Exactly. They'll say the talent simply doesn't exist. But if you open up their applicant tracking system, their ATS, you will find thousands upon thousands of unprocessed, highly qualified resumes just sitting there.
Just completely dark.
Completely dark.
Untouched.
So as you listen today, whether you are a TA leader trying to optimize your tech stack or just someone fascinated by the hidden mechanics of the labor market, we really want you to change how you view your company's hiring database.
Yeah, you have to stop picturing it as a digital graveyard.
Right, where resumes just go to die. We're going to show you how to conceptualize it and architect it as a living, compounding asset. But to understand why modern hiring is so fundamentally fractured, we really have to look at the sheer brute force physics of the top of the funnel problem.
Because it's not a talent shortage.
No, it is a processing crisis.
A processing crisis. I love that phrasing.
You can really describe it as a literal resume avalanche.
A resume avalanche.
Yeah, because the volume has completely decoupled from human processing capacity.
Okay, let's actually run the math on this avalanche based on the benchmark reports. Because the numbers are wild.
They really are.
Right now, recruiters are handling 93% more applications than they did in 2021.
93%. That's a near doubling of top-of-funnel volume in just a few years.
But here is the variable that turns this into an actual crisis. Simultaneously, corporate recruiting teams are running 14% smaller than they were in 2021.
Yeah, so you have a team that has been downsized by nearly a sixth,
Right.
and they are absorbing twice the amount of raw data.
Mathematically, the human beings in the center of that equation, they have to break.
They do. And the efficiency metrics show exactly where the fractures are happening.
Let's look at those.
So if we look back to 2016, the interview rate, meaning the percentage of total applicants who actually made it through the screen to get a phone call,
Right.
that was hovering around 15%.
Okay, 15%. That feels somewhat manageable.
Right. But today, that number has plummeted to a staggering 3%.
Wow. Which means 97% of the people raising their hands they're just hitting a brick wall.
Exactly. And the final conversion metric is even more severe than that.
What is it now?
Across these 165 million applications we looked at, only 0.5% of applicants ultimately get hired.
0.5%. That is roughly, what, 1 in 200?
Yeah, 1 in 200. And for remote or, highly desirable entry-level roles, we're routinely seeing funnels of 400 to 1 or even 1,000 to 1.
It's 1,000 to 1. I mean, when you are operating a 1,000 to 1 funnel, your problem is absolutely not sourcing.
No, not at all.
Your problem is a catastrophic signal-to-noise ratio.
That's exactly what it is.
But we have to be honest about where that noise is coming from, too.
Yeah.
Because, well, a massive percentage of it is entirely self-inflicted.
By the technology.
Yes, by the very technology we built to make applying easier. Like, the benchmark data notes that 54% of candidates are sending the exact same, completely generic resume to every single job they apply for.
Right, because the friction of the application process has been reduced to practically zero.
Yeah, the easy apply buttons.
Exactly. With Easy Apply and these automated browser extensions, candidates are no longer evaluating whether they're actually a fit for a role.
Right. They're not reading the job description.
No, they're simply playing a numbers game. They know their statistical odds of being seen are terrible.
Because it's 3%.
Right, so they offset those terrible odds with sheer volume.
Which creates this vicious compounding cycle.
It really does.
Like, the candidates spam the system because the odds are bad, which floods the recruiters with irrelevant applications.
Well, this makes the recruiter's response times worse.
Which makes the candidates' odds even worse, prompting them to spam even more.
It's a total doom loop, and while this cycle spins out of control, the financial drain is just quietly accumulating in the background.
Yeah, going back to the grocery store analogy at the start, the average cost per hire right now is hitting at $4,700.
Which is wild.
And a massive chunk of that budget is allocated to external job board advertising.
Right, because the TA team cannot see through the noise of their own 1,000 to 1 avalanche.
They just assume their database is useless.
Exactly. So they go back to the job boards, they spend thousands of dollars to sponsor a new listing, and they end up paying to attract the exact same candidates who are already buried in their ATS.
It's the ultimate failure of visibility.
It really is.
And while financial cost to the company is severe, we also have to talk about the psychological cost.
To the candidates.
Right. It's actively damaging corporate brands.
Oh, absolutely. The human fallout is incredibly highly quantified in these reports.
I think the ghosting stat is the most brutal.
Yeah. 77% of all applicants are currently being ghosted.
77%.
They submit their data into the void and never receive a single communication back.
Never hear a word.
And, it is vital to point out that this is not because recruiters are malicious or lazy.
No, it's a physical limitation.
Exactly. If you are a recruiter managing 15 open requisitions,
Yeah.
and each one receives 500 applications, you physically cannot execute 7,500 personalized rejections.
Let alone actually read them all.
Right. It's impossible.
Like, the candidate doesn't know about the recruiter's workload.
No, they don't care about that.
Right. The candidate just feels ignored. Which brings us to the resentment metrics.
This is where it gets dangerous for the brands.
Seriously. The data shows that candidate resentment, meaning an applicant who actively feels worse about a brand after interacting with their hiring process, that resentment is spiking. Particularly in tech and finance, where it has hit 25%.
1 in 4.
1 in 4 candidates is walking away from your brand with a negative perception. And, they might be your future customer.
Or they might be the perfect hire for a role 3 years from now.
Exactly. And you are burning that bridge before you even know who they are.
So if human recruiters are physically breaking under this volume and candidates are actively retaliating against brands that ghost them,
Right?
the entire survival of a TA department hinges on automation.
We have to filter the avalanche.
We have to. But here is the terrifying part about that.
Okay.
We are trusting automation to read human lives.
Oh, that's a heavy way to put it.
But it's true. We're asking a machine to interpret complex, non-linear careers spanning a decade, often documented across, frankly, poorly formatted PDFs.
Very poorly formatted.
Right. So how exactly does a machine look at that unstructured mess and extract the truth? That requires us to look at the absolute foundational ceiling of all recruiting technology resume parsing.
Okay, I am going to push back hard on this right out of the gate.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because if you say resume parsing to a strategic TA leader or someone sitting in the C-suite, their eyes are going to glaze over.
Oh, instantly.
Right, because parsing is just optical character recognition, right? It's
Right.
OCR. It's just scraping text off a page.
That's the assumption.
We have had that technology since, what, the 1990s?
Yeah, a long time.
So why should someone architecting a multi-million-dollar talent strategy care about a boring back-end IT utility like text extraction?
See, that pushback is exactly why so many digital transformations in HR fail.
Really?
Yes, leaders assume parsing is a solved, commoditized problem.
They think it's just a given.
Right. They think the real value, the quote-unquote AI magic, happens downstream in the matching algorithms or the predictive analytics.
Okay.
But parsing is the translation matrix.
Yeah.
If the translation matrix fails...
Every downstream system is fed garbage data.
Exactly. Garbage in, garbage out.
Okay, walk me through the mechanics of that failure then. How does a bad translation matrix actually break a hiring outcome?
Let's look at how human beings format resumes.
Okay.
A candidate might build a beautiful two-column PDF, right?
Oh, people love the two-column format.
They do. So on the left side, they list their skills. Python, Java, C++.
Right.
On the right side, they list their experience. 10 years developing enterprise architecture.
Okay, makes sense to a human reading it.
Right. But a legacy text parser, the kind of OCR tech you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
it doesn't understand human layout. It just reads linearly, horizontally across the page.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it strips the text and saves a corrupted, mashed up sentence into the database.
So it reads straight across the gap between the columns.
Exactly. It saves something that reads Python 10 years, Java developing C++ enterprise.
Oh, that is a disaster.
It is.
It completely destroys the semantic relationship between the words.
Exactly. So when your highly expensive, sophisticated AI matching tool later searches for 10 years of Python experience,
It looks at this candidate's profile
gets confused by the corrupted string.
and bypasses them entirely.
Yes, the candidate was perfect. The matching AI was flawless.
But the parse failed.
The parse failed, so the human is invisible.
Wow. So what is the delta between that legacy text scraping and what the benchmark reports are calling modern AI-powered contextual analysis?
It's a massive leap.
How does the new technology actually solve that two-column problem?
Modern parsers don't just extract text, they extract structure and context.
Okay.
They are trained on millions of document layouts to actually understand spatial relationships on a page.
So they know it's a column.
Exactly. And the benchmark data shows that these modern deep learning parsers are now hitting 95% accuracy.
95%.
Yes. They can handle highly unstructured formats to the point where the failure rate for extracting data from a plain docx file has dropped to just 4%.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Though it is worth noting for anyone listening who might be actively applying for jobs right now,
Yeah, a quick PSA.
the data strongly suggests you should really just use a plain single-column docx file.
Absolutely.
Even with a 95% accuracy rate, why risk being in the 5% that the machine misinterprets?
Skip the heavy graphics, skip the complex tables.
Keep it incredibly simple.
Keep it simple, yes, but the structural understanding is only half the battle.
What's the other half?
Once the modern parser extracts the text cleanly, it performs something entirely revolutionary: multilingual translation and skills taxonomy mapping.
Taxonomy mapping.
Yeah.
Okay, let's break down the actual mechanism there. What is happening at the database level when a parser maps a taxonomy?
Think of a taxonomy as an enormous, interconnected ontology graph of human capability.
Okay, a graph.
Let's say a candidate writes data wrangling on their resume.
Okay.
A legacy parser just saves the string of text, literally the letters, DATAWRANGLING.
Right.
It has absolutely no idea what that means.
It's just letters.
Right. But a modern AI parser takes that phrase and cross-references it against a universal skills graph.
Okay.
It mathematically links data wrangling to the exact same node as data cleansing, data preparation, and ETL processes.
Ah, so it's acting as a universal translator.
Precisely.
It takes the highly subjective, kind of messy way a human being describes their own career.
Which varies wildly from person to person.
Right, and it standardizes it into a structured, objective language that a computer can actually run computations against.
Exactly. Without that foundational translation layer, you cannot do advanced matching. You are literally just searching for letters on a page.
Which brings us perfectly to the core failure of legacy applicant tracking systems.
The big one.
Because historically, once that data was parsed, even if it was parsed well, right?
Yeah.
How did recruiters search through it? They used keywords.
Right.
And the source material we were reviewing is unequivocal on this point. The keyword matching approach is systematically destroying the talent pool.
It is a fundamentally broken paradigm. It actively works against the goal of hiring.
I think the best way to understand the failure of the keyword system is to compare it to a child playing the card game Go Fish.
Okay, I like this.
Right. But imagine a highly pedantic, rigid version of Go Fish.
Okay.
You are the recruiter, and the hiring manager has told you they need a software engineer too.
So you type that exact phrase into the ATS.
Exactly. You are essentially asking the system, do you have any software engineer twos?
Right.
Now, the system looks at a candidate who has spent the last 5 years as a brilliant back-end developer, working in the exact same tech stack, solving the exact same problems.
But because the candidate used the phrase back-end developer instead of the specific phrase software engineer too.
The ATS looks at you and says, go fish.
Exactly. It's the exact match failure.
Right.
You are forcing the recruiter to guess the exact vocabulary the candidate chose to use on a Tuesday 3 years ago when they wrote their resume.
Which is an impossible task.
Yeah, it is. And the data from our sources shows that 66% of legacy ATS platforms cannot understand synonyms natively.
66%.
Yeah. If your Boolean search string says program management and the perfect candidate wrote project management, they are functionally invisible.
And TA leaders know the pain of this. I mean, they spend hours constructing these massive, complex Boolean search strings.
Oh, with dozens of or statements.
Right. Just trying to capture all the possible variations of a job title, trying to outsmart their own dumb databases.
And the human cost of this keyword rigidity is devastating.
Let's look at the Harvard Business School study included in the source stack, because this blew my mind.
The numbers are huge.
They estimate that there are 27 million Americans who are systematically screened out of jobs they are fully qualified for.
27 million people.
That is, I mean, that's an entire economy of people.
They refer to them in the study as hidden workers.
Hidden workers.
Right. And they are hidden specifically because of arbitrary knockout filters that are bolted onto these keyword systems.
Okay, I want to push you on the logic behind these knockout filters.
Sure.
Because if this system is actively hiding 27 million qualified people, why do enterprise companies continue to use them?
Yeah.
Like they aren't trying to sabotage themselves. What is the operational logic there?
The operational logic is sheer desperation in the face of the resume avalanche.
Volume control.
Exactly. When a recruiter has 1,000 applicants for a single role, they need a blunt instrument to reduce that number to 50 manageable profiles.
Oh, you just need to cut the pile down.
Right. So they implement rigid knockout questions. Do you have a continuous employment history for the last 5 years? Do you have a 4-year degree?
And if you don't?
If the candidate answers no, perhaps they took 2 years off to care for a dying parent, or they learned to code at a boot camp instead of a university shirt, the ATS instantly drops them.
Just gone.
Gone. It doesn't matter if they are the most skilled coder in the pile. The system acts as a ruthless bouncer at the door, optimizing for volume reduction rather than talent identification.
And the mechanical failure of these filters gets even more severe when we look at how early algorithms attempted to automate this sorting process.
Yes.
Now, we need to look at 2 highly documented case studies here. The Amazon engineering algorithm and the University of Washington study.
Right.
And I want to be clear, we're looking at these purely through the lens of data science and architectural failure.
Purely the math of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How does a machine learning model actually fail so spectacularly that it starts absorbing human biases?
It comes down to how these early models were trained to recognize patterns.
Okay.
Machine learning models, specifically early large language models, they are essentially massive statistical pattern matching engines.
Right.
In the famous Amazon case, they wanted to build an AI tool to automatically screen and rank engineering resumes.
Makes sense.
Right, so to teach the AI what a quote-unquote good engineer looked like, they fed it 10 years of their own historical hiring data.
They said, look at who we hired.
Exactly. They said, look at the resumes of the people we hired and promoted over the last decade, find the common variables, and look for those variables in new applicants.
But the tech industry, and engineering specifically, has historically been heavily skewed toward male employees.
Right.
So the training data was overwhelmingly male.
Exactly. And the algorithm, it doesn't understand gender or ethics or fairness.
Right. It doesn't know what a man or a woman is.
It only understands mathematical correlations.
Okay.
So it looked at the training data and calculated that resumes containing words associated with men had a higher probability of historical success.
Wow.
It literally created mathematical proxies for gender.
Because it's just trying to replicate the past.
Right. It started penalizing resumes that included the word women's, such as captain of the women's chess club,
Oh my God.
or downgraded graduates of all women's colleges.
That is wild.
It wasn't programmed to be biased. It simply held up a perfectly accurate mathematical mirror to the historical human decisions it was trained on.
It found latent variables that correlated with the historical outcomes, and it just ruthlessly optimized for them.
Exactly.
And the University of Washington study found the exact same mechanical failure regarding race, right?
Yes, they did.
What did they find?
They analyzed millions of resume comparisons using certain LLMs and found that the models favored white-associated names 85% of the time,
85%.
while penalizing black-sounding names. And again, it is a dimensionality problem.
Can you explain that?
If an algorithm is trained on a dataset where certain demographics historically held fewer roles, the math will inevitably view those demographics as a deviation from the successful pattern.
It penalizes the anomaly.
Exactly. It penalizes the anomaly.
This is exactly why the transition we are discussing today is so critical.
It's why we can't keep doing it the old way.
Right. We cannot just bolt faster processing onto a broken keyword system.
No, you're just failing faster.
Exactly. We have to fundamentally change how the machine reads. We have to move from text matching to context understanding.
And the technology driving this is semantic matching,
Right.
specifically using natural language processing, NLP, and vector embeddings.
Okay. Vector embeddings.
This is the inflection point. Vector embeddings completely replace the go fish paradigm.
Okay. Let's break this down for the TA leaders who hear this buzzword thrown around by software vendors every day.
It's everywhere now.
How does this actually work mechanically? Because, well, I like to think of it like a master sommelier pairing food and wine.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Right. In a keyword system, if I ask for sharp cheddar, the system only looks for the exact word sharp cheddar.
Right.
Doesn't know what it tastes like.
It has no concept of cheese.
Exactly. But a sommelier, the vector embedding model, understands the underlying flavor profile.
Okay.
The sommelier knows that sharp cheddar has high fat, high salt, and earthy notes. So if I ask for a wine pairing, the sommelier mathematically maps those flavor profiles and suggests a robust Cabernet.
Because they complement each other.
Right. The words cheddar and Cabernet share 0 letters.
0.
But their underlying profiles map perfectly to each other in a multidimensional space.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it.
Thanks.
Because in data science, we call that multidimensional space a vector space.
Okay.
When an AI processes a resume using embeddings, it doesn't just read words. It converts every concept, every skill, and every experience into a series of numbers.
Okay, so it turns the text into numbers.
Right, a vector. And it plots it on a graph that can have thousands of different dimensions.
Thousands.
Yeah.
So in this space, distance equals relevance.
Precisely. If we map this out, Java and C++ are plotted very close together because they're conceptually similar.
Right, we're both programming languages.
Right. But Java and marketing strategy are plotted very far apart.
Makes sense. So how does this change the game for finding that hidden talent?
Because the AI understands spatial relationships and skills adjacency.
Skills adjacency. Give me an example of that in the real world.
Let's say you are hiring for a complex systems architect in health tech.
Okay, a health tech architect.
A keyword system will only look for candidates who have health tech on their resume.
Right, go fish.
Exactly. But a semantic matching system, using vector embeddings, it will look at a candidate who spent the last 6 years building high-frequency trading platforms in fintech.
Wait, fintech?
Yes. The system understands that while the industries don't overlap, the underlying architectural demands, ultra-low latency, massive data security, fault tolerance,
Ooh, you have the same skills.
they are located in the exact same vector space.
That's incredible.
It identifies that the fintech engineer has the precise capability to thrive in health tech, even if they lack the specific industry vocabulary.
So it searches for capability, not just keywords,
Exactly.
which completely transforms the evaluation process. I mean, if your system finally understands context and skills adjacency and capability,
It changes everything.
it no longer has to execute that rigid binary pass or fail knockout filter.
Right, the bouncer at the door is gone.
It can evaluate nuance. And that fundamentally shifts the daily workflow of a recruiter.
Completely.
We are moving away from reading resumes, and we are moving toward ranking talent like a search engine.
Ranking is the natural evolution of semantic understanding.
But before we break down the mechanics of ranking, we need to clear the air on something.
I know exactly what you were going to bring up.
The 75% auto-reject myth.
Oh, this one drives me crazy.
Right. If you spend 5 minutes on LinkedIn or TikTok looking at career advice, you will inevitably see a viral post claiming that 75% of all resumes are auto-rejected by the ATS before a human ever lays eyes on them.
Yeah, you see it everywhere.
The source material we are reviewing specifically targets this claim. Let's dismantle it.
It is entirely fabricated.
Entirely.
Entirely. That 75% statistic traces all the way back to a single press release from a defunct company called PrepTel.
Wait, when was that?
In 2013.
2013.
Yes. There is absolutely zero academic research and zero modern benchmark data supporting it.
Wow.
In reality, the technical analyses show that 92% of modern ATS platforms do not auto-reject based on resume content.
They just don't do it.
They simply do not have that binary function enabled.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate for the candidates here.
Go for it.
Because practically speaking, what is the difference?
What do you mean?
If I submit my application and the ATS semantic engine evaluates me and decides I am candidate number 150 out of 200,
Right.
functionally I've been rejected. I am never getting a phone call
Sure.
because it operates exactly like Google PageRank.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Nobody clicks to page 10 of Google search results.
Right.
The recruiter's only going to look at the top 10 or 20 ranked profiles.
Right.
So whether the system technically rejected me or just ranked me at the bottom, my outcome is the exact same.
That is a very fair assessment. And it highlights why understanding the mechanics of the AI ranking algorithm is paramount for both TA leaders and candidates.
It's all about how you rank.
Right, because you were right. The workflow relies on the recruiter trusting the first page of results.
So let's look under the hood of that scoring system. When the AI assigns a candidate a match score of 94%, what specific variables is it calculating simultaneously?
It is running a highly complex weighted calculation.
Okay.
It obviously looks at semantic skills overlap, like we talked about,
Sure.
but it heavily weights recency and duration.
Recency and duration.
Right. Did you use Python for 6 months 8 years ago, or have you been using it daily for the last 3 years?
Oh, that's a huge distinction.
Exactly. It weights industry relevance, the scale of the environments you've operated in, like did you manage a budget of $10,000 or $10 million?
Right.
And it closely analyzes your seniority progression.
And here is aha moment from the deep dive analyses, the part that absolutely blew my mind.
The trajectory mapping.
Yes. How these scoring systems are utilizing recurrent neural networks, or RNNs, to evaluate an applicant's career trajectory.
It's brilliant stuff.
Can you explain exactly what an RNN is doing when it reads a work history?
This is where we cross the threshold from analyzing the past to predicting the future.
Predicting the future.
Yes. An RNN is a specific architecture of neural network that is explicitly designed to recognize patterns in sequential data.
Sequential data, like things that happen in order.
Exactly. Standard models look at data points in isolation, but an RNN maintains an internal hidden state that remembers the previous inputs in a sequence,
Okay.
allowing it to understand the relationship of events over time.
So the sequence in this case is the chronological progression of your career.
Yes. The model has been trained on the sequential career paths of hundreds of millions of professionals.
Millions of them.
Right. It understands the momentum of a career. It knows the mathematical probability of what job title naturally follows a specific sequence of previous titles and acquired skills.
Give me a tangible example of how an RNN predicts a promotion. Like, how does it see that coming?
Okay, imagine a candidate whose resume sequence shows they started as a Tier 1 support engineer.
Okay, entry level.
Right. 2 years later, they moved to a QA engineering role.
Got it.
3 years after that, they took a back-end developer role where they started managing junior devs.
Okay, so a clear upward progression.
Exactly. The RNN looks at that specific chronological sequence, weighs it against millions of similar paths, and calculates that this individual is statistically primed to become a senior back-end engineer.
Wow. So if a recruiter runs a search for a senior back-end engineer, the AI might rank this candidate in the top 5, even though they have never officially held that title.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Well, because the RNN recognizes their trajectory. It evaluates momentum and potential, not just static past performance.
Right.
It identifies candidates who are ready to step into the role, and those are often your most loyal and high-performing hires.
Wait, I have to stop you there.
What's up?
Because predicting a career path based on historical data sounds incredible for a linear career.
Okay.
But doesn't this inherently punish career switchers?
Good question.
Right. If I spent 10 years as a high school English teacher,
Yeah.
and then I spent the last year doing an intensive software development boot camp to learn Python,
Okay.
an RNN looking for linear momentum is going to look at my sequence, get confused, and rank me at the bottom, isn't it? I have no momentum as a developer.
That is the exact challenge data scientists have been solving for in the latest iterations of these models.
Okay, so how do they fix it?
A pure sequence model might penalize that teacher, but modern AI ranking systems blend the RNN trajectory analysis with the semantic vector embeddings we discussed earlier.
Well, they use both.
Exactly. The system recognizes the recent heavy acquisition of a hard skill Python,
Right.
and it also evaluates the latent skills acquired as a teacher.
The soft skills.
Right. It understands that managing a classroom requires extreme organization, conflict resolution, and complex communication.
Which are huge in tech.
Right. Skills that map beautifully to a Scrum Master or a junior product manager role.
Oh, wow.
It weights the aggressive recent upskilling alongside the adjacent soft skills to ensure the candidate isn't locked into their past.
That blending of capabilities is incredible.
It really is.
And think about what this does to the TA workflow. I mean, a recruiter's daily existence used to be defined by manual exhaustion.
Just brutal reading.
Right. I have to read 200 resumes today, manually cross-reference their skills, and try to guess if they are good.
It's exhausting.
But now, the workflow becomes, I'm going to open my dashboard and review a highly calibrated, organically ranked shortlist of 10 candidates whose skills, adjacencies, and trajectories perfectly align with the role.
It fundamentally elevates the recruiter.
It does, from an administrator to a strategic talent advisor.
Right. It frees them up to actually talk to human beings, to sell the vision of the company, instead of staring at PDFs until their eyes bleed.
Exactly. Which leads us to the final and perhaps most lucrative thread of this entire deep dive.
The gold mine.
Yes. If you have successfully architected this intelligent infrastructure, if you have a semantic search engine that understands context, skills adjacency, and career trajectory, where is the absolute smartest, most financially responsible place to point that search engine?
You point it inward.
Inward.
You point it at the talent you've already spent millions of dollars to acquire.
The dormant database goldmine.
Exactly.
We talked earlier about how the legacy ATS operates as a digital filing cabinet.
Right.
The historical workflow is agonizingly wasteful. Like, you get approval for a new headcount.
Okay.
You spend $2,000 posting it on external job boards.
Yep.
You generate an avalanche of 500 resumes.
Yeah.
You spend 3 weeks filtering them. You interview 10 people. You hire one person.
And what happens to the other 499?
Exactly. The other 499 people, many of whom were phenomenal candidates, are shoved into the database and forgotten forever.
It is the definition of single-use data.
Single-use data.
It is a massive destruction of value.
It really is.
But when you overlay a semantic ranking engine onto that database, the filing cabinet transforms into a living, breathing ecosystem.
A living database.
It becomes a compounding gold mine of talent.
Because why on earth would you start a search from scratch, waiting 30 days for inbound flow, when the perfect hire is someone you already interviewed, vetted, and liked 9 months ago?
The benchmark data on this shift is staggering.
What are the numbers?
According to the reports, 46% of source hires now originate from candidates who were already sitting in the company's ATS or CRM prior to the job requisition opening.
46%. Almost half.
That is a tectonic shift. Just back in 2021, that number was only 26%.
Wow. And conversely, the data shows that hires originating from external paid job boards have literally halved since 2021.
Because the market is aggressively shifting its focus internally.
And the conversion metrics prove why this internal focus is so critical, right?
Oh, absolutely. We are looking at the mechanics of candidate rediscovery.
Candidate rediscovery.
Right. The data shows that internal mobility, meaning matching an existing employee to a new open role within the company,
Right.
that converts at 32 times the rate of inbound external applicants.
32 times.
And employee referrals convert at 11 times the rate.
Let's focus on the external candidates sitting in the database for a second, specifically the concept of silver medalists. I love this term.
It's a great term.
Walk us through the workflow of a silver medalist in a legacy system versus an AI-driven system.
Okay, so a silver medalist is a candidate who made it all the way to the final terminal round of interviews.
They ran the whole gauntlet.
Right. They passed the phone screen, they passed the technical assessment, they met the team, they fit the culture.
But they just barely missed out on the offer.
Exactly. Maybe the gold medalist had slightly more direct experience, or maybe the timing just wasn't perfectly aligned.
But they are a known quantity.
Yes.
You have already invested thousands of dollars of human capital into interviewing them.
Exactly. They are fully vetted and de-risked. But in a legacy system, 6 months later, when a nearly identical role opens up.
The original recruiter has moved on or forgotten the candidate's name.
Right. So the company pays a job board to start from zero.
Which is crazy.
It is. But in a modern AI-driven candidate rediscovery system, the technology is constantly operating in the background.
So it remembers.
It never forgets. The precise second that new requisition is approved and opened in the system, the AI scans the entire historical database, instantly identifies the silver medalist, recognizes their trajectory, and flags them for the recruiter.
It's like, hey, before you spend $3,000 on LinkedIn, call Sarah. She was the runner-up for this role last year. She loved the company, and she's ready.
Exactly. The financial impact of that workflow is immediate and massive.
Because you entirely bypass the $4,700 cost per hire.
Right. You completely eliminate the advertising spend.
And you drastically accelerate the time to fill metric.
Because Sarah has already completed half the interview process. She already knows your brand.
It allows the system to scale historically.
Yes. Every single candidate who ever applied becomes a node in your private talent network, constantly being reevaluated against your shifting needs.
It turns stagnant historical data into an active, predictive talent pipeline.
It's a game changer.
Okay, let's bring this all together.
Yeah.
Because we've covered a lot of ground today.
We really have.
If you are a TA leader, a CHRO, or a founder listening to this data today, the through line is crystal clear.
Yep.
The hiring crisis you're feeling, the friction, the delays, the burnout of your teams, it is not caused by a macro lack of talent.
The talent is there.
The talent is there.
Yeah.
Your crisis is caused by a lack of intelligent infrastructure.
That is the core truth of the data. The organizations that survive the next decade will be the ones who successfully transition away from keyword filtering.
Which mathematically guarantees the exclusion of millions of qualified people.
Right, and embrace semantic context.
Yes.
They will transition from the manual exhaustion of reading to the strategic efficiency of search engine ranking.
By building that translation layer, by implementing those vector embeddings, you finally unlock the dormant gold mines sitting right under your nose.
Exactly.
The benchmark data from 2021 to 2026 proves that building a data-first hiring function is no longer just a cool, innovative, competitive advantage.
No, it's not a nice-to-have anymore.
It is a fundamental survival requirement in modern talent acquisition.
It is.
If you are still relying on massive Boolean search strings and rigid knockout questions, you are mathematically guaranteed to miss the best talent while simultaneously driving your recruiting team into the ground.
You cannot fight an avalanche with a shovel.
Wow, yes.
You have to build better architecture.
Okay, we're going to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over until our next deep dive.
I like this one.
We have spent this entire hour discussing how employers are deploying increasingly sophisticated autonomous AI agents to parse human language, rank complex trajectories, and rediscover candidates in the blink of an eye.
Right.
But what happens when the labor market pushes back?
Man.
Exactly. What happens when the candidates start doing the exact same thing?
It is not a hypothetical. It is already happening.
It is,
yeah. The friction of the application process is dropping below zero. Candidates are deploying their own personal AI agents to scrape job boards.
Wait, really?
Yes. Perfectly optimizing their resumes against the semantic vectors of the job description, automatically applying to thousands of roles while they sleep,
Oh, okay.
and even generating bespoke cover letters.
So if we extrapolate this out a few years, is the hiring process just going to evolve into two autonomous algorithms negotiating with each other in the cloud?
It's very possible.
Like your corporate AI agent talking to my personal AI agent to calculate our vector alignment while you and I just sit back and wait to see if we have a meeting.
It is the ultimate paradox of recruiting technology.
It really is.
We are building the most complex, abstract mathematical machines in history, all in an attempt to perfectly identify the most fundamentally human qualities in our workforce.
That is wild. But remember what we established at the very beginning. Hiring used to look like a predictable math equation, a simple factory line where input equaled output.
Right.
But as we've seen clearly today, that legacy machinery is fundamentally broken. We are dealing with a living, compounding, complex ecosystem now.
Absolutely.
And if you want to navigate it successfully, you need to stop playing Go Fish with keywords and start building the infrastructure to actually understand the context of the human beings you are trying to hire.
Well said. The advantage goes to the companies that adapt first.
That is our deep dive for today. Keep building those living databases, rethink your translation matrix, and we will catch you next time for episode 3.